This morning we're sharing on the subject of family success. This month of February we're treating the subject of love, life and family success. And we've said to ourselves really that family success is a very, very important thing to God. God wants families to succeed. It breaks God's heart to see the amount of divorces that happen between men and women, many of which are even of people who are, spiritual sons and daughters of God, who are born again people. Divorces, so much divorces. Get to the point where people begin to say things like, we have reached a point of no return, irreconcilable differences, no return. How can somebody who all of a sudden just got married is already thinking of divorce? All right? And there's so many reasons that allow for that. So many reasons. We can't even begin to talk about all of that. And this morning, as we share on the subject of family success, I pray that the light of God will be shed out, abroad in our hearts, as touching these areas, and so that whether you're single or married, this will affect you. I also pray for everyone who will be listening to this recording at some point in the near future, wherever you be. I pray in the name of Jesus for light, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. I was raised by a single mom till I was almost 7, and then I met my dad at around that age 7. I do not pray for anybody to be grown up by any single parent. Broken homes are not something you want to be part of. It's not good. What it does to the mind, what it does to the self-esteem of a human being is not a very good thing. And so no child should be put under that kind of condition. Before churches were made, God made families. Before a pastor was needed, God made sure that there was a father, mother, and children. Before there was church members and church leaders. No. Before there was need for any kind of institution on the earth, there was already the institution of the family. So the family is the oldest institution on the earth. It is older than government. It is older than the clergy, the ministry of the apostle, the prophet, the pastor, the teacher is older than that. It's older than the ordinance of sacrifice and all. It's older than all that. It's older than any kind of principle there is. The principle of marriage. And marriage is of God. It was not constructed by anybody. God by himself created it. And so we want to go towards him to learn this morning what family success is all about. All right? I know we've laid a foundation already, but I'm going to just begin to put all that into perspective already. Okay? So if you don't mind, please just look at the introduction. I want us to read through that and then we go on. Marriage is not a man's idea. It is what? God's. So we must see marriage from God's perspective and understand its intricacies. All right? The problem with many most homes is that the society has refused to accept that marriage is a blood covenant between the couple and God, and as such cannot be run with a man's idea, with a man-made idea. So that's the thing. We're still trying to walk around it, still trying to give it the kind of understanding we think. Around the world we see things like people trying to create their own thoughts with regards to what marriage should be like. All right? We grew up seeing marriage as a thing between father and mother. All right? And then we talk about the family, husband, father, and of course the children. Now they are replacing it with the word parent. It's not father and mother again. They've deliberately replaced it with the word parent. And it's very, very deliberate. Very, very deliberate. Because when you use the word parent in place of father and mother, it justifies the need to accept, certain communities that we now think is right. I know that around the world, many people have already accepted, different things as the normal thing to do. But we know very well that that's not what we do. We are rooted in God. We're rooted in God. In fact, there's no Adam and Steve or Eve and Eva kind of situation. No, there's nothing like that. It's completely Adam and Eve, and that's how it's going to continue to be. It's a man and a woman. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Marriage is between a man and a woman, not a man and a man and a woman and a woman. I know very well that some people get to hear this and they will like, oh, why are we not contemporary? Can't we see that their sexuality and all that? It doesn't matter what I think or what I see. What is important is that there is already a standard to that, and that God by himself instituted marriage. So a family is not made up of parents in the terms of what the world thinks. Parents are man and a woman, okay? In fact, a husband and a wife, because you can say man and a woman who are not married. Okay, so it's a husband and a wife. That means that they are joined together already, and then they now have children. Okay, so the world has tainted it. There's a lot of, and going forward into the world, there's going to be a lot of, alterations of what God has intended marriage to be. And to that end, marriages are breaking up every moment. You cannot use a man-made idea to run a God-instituted institution. It will not stand. It will not stand. You cannot use flesh to run the supernatural instructions of God. It will not stand. Even he himself knew that. That's why he told us in Zechariah chapter 4 verse 6 that it's not by power, it is not by might, it's by the Spirit of God. It is not by power, it's not by might. So he knew that. He knew that. Anyway, that is very, very important. Very important. This understanding of marriage will allow, for stable, stress-free home and society, especially if the couple involved have a strong sense of commitment and a covenant-minded people. All right? So the understanding that the home, of course, was instituted by a covenant with God, blood covenant between the couple and of God and God. That kind of understanding between covenant people, covenant-minded people, that will give a level of stress-free home. Of course, stress-free home. And the world needs it at this time. The world needs it at this time. The world needs it at this time. Very, very key. Very important. All right, let's do quite a bit this morning. Very, very important. A healthy marriage gives birth to a healthy society. All right, a healthy marriage gives birth to what? A healthy family. All right, a healthy family gives birth to a healthy society. Okay, a healthy society gives birth to a healthy nation. Okay, so it all begins with a healthy marriage. If the marriage is healthy, the family will be healthy. If the family is healthy, the society is healthy. And if the society is healthy, the nation at large is healthy. And a healthy nation gives birth to a healthy humanity. All right, this is very, very key. Marriage is a covenant. It's a covenant relationship. This understanding is key. Marriage is a covenant. It's a covenant relationship. And there's a difference between a covenant and a promise. Okay? Even promises can be broken, but you cannot break a blood covenant. When you break a covenant, the causes that go with breaking a blood covenant come. All right? A covenant is a lifelong thing. There were men who came from Europe, all right, who came to Africa, and they made blood covenants with men just so that, there'll be peace between, and they kept those covenants till they died. Kept those covenants. They kept those covenants. Very, very important. Please, I'd like you to be sensitive this morning. All right? Please, I beg you, be as sensitive as you are and as you can be. Make sure that you guide yourself to the point where you capture everything that needs to be caught this morning. All right? If you can, please share with me Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. All right? Genesis chapter 2. Let's read from verse 18. I need someone who can just read aloud very quickly from that. Seeing very well the establishment of God's principle of marriage. And the Lord said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him." That is verse 18 of Genesis chapter 2. All right? This is where it all begins when it comes to marriage. God said, "It is not good Please, can we say it together? It is not good. It is not good. And this is the intention of God when it comes to marriage. Ecclesiastes chapter 4. Someone out there should please kindly help with that portion of scripture if you can. All right? Very, very key. If you're there, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 and 10. Let me read very, very quickly.
Two are better than one.
All right? Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. All right?
For if they fall, one will lift up his companion.
Thank you so much.
But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him.
For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath no one to help him. So marriage was built on this premise that it is not good to be alone, and that every man needs a helper. Every man needs a what? A helper. Every man needs a what? Come on now, can we say it together? Every man needs a what? A helper. All right, and this is the premise for which marriage was built. The covenant of marriage was laid on this foundation. Okay, so very quickly, to every man who is not married yet, how to choose a marriage partner. Very key. Let's just talk about this very quickly. How to choose a marriage partner. All right, marriage can make or mar you. In other words, it can destroy you. It can also build you. Therefore, it has to be done right. Love is not blind. No. I just love her. No, love at first sight. Love at first sight is very possible, but please, it's not blind. Don't ignore the signals. There are many signals. There are many signs that you must take note of before you finally settle. To agree to be helper to a man or to ask a lady to marry you. There are many signs. The signs are always there. No matter how smart some people are, if you are sensitive, if you're prayerful about it, if you are very sensitive, nobody will fall into that trap of say, I didn't know, the person lied to me. No. We're not meant to be lied to. We're not blind people. We are loaded with God's ability to see what needs to be seen. All right, don't be desperate. And sometimes this happens with people who feel that the biological clock is ticking very fast. I'm a man, all my friends are married, let me go and marry. I'm a woman, I'm getting close to menopause, so let me settle for anybody who comes. When you settle for anything, you end up coping with anything. You then need to live your life based on anything that comes after that marriage. Okay, so stop looking for a ready-made person as well. Get ready for work. And this is important because a lot of people are saying there are no good girls out there, there are no good men out there. Actually, it is really the man's work to work on his woman. Really, it is really the man's work to work on his woman. There might not be a perfect woman out there, but it's important for the man to be ready to work while it is day. It is important to work. I had, an amazing man say something many years ago that has guided me. He said, every woman is like a garden, and what you want to see in the garden, you plant it there by yourself. All right? You plant it there by yourself. So you're looking for an intellectual woman, and she has some other criteria or some other qualities that you have, then raise that part of the game. Looking for a woman who, basically, there are some ingredients that are just basic. Just a basic fear of God and the willingness to learn and to be teachable. That is already enough. All right, it's already enough. Those ingredients are enough. Somebody has the fear of God and who is teachable, that is enough. The rest can come. All right, so in terms of having to choose a married partner, please, it's key that you begin to pray about it. Jeremiah chapter 33 verse 3. Jeremiah 33 verse 3. God speaking by himself, he says, call upon me and I will answer you, and I will show to you great and mighty things that you do not know. All right, that is why nobody should say, he pretended, he lied to me, he came to sing in the choir and I didn't know that he was a cultist. No. You are a daughter of Zion, you are a daughter of God. You speak to your father, he speaks to you. Except you chose not to see the signs and you chose to just follow your heart. Let's just follow your heart. No. I found out my heart cannot do everything for me. My heart is not that smart. My mind is not that smart. Like what we say to ourselves here in our ministry, that our brains are not as big enough or as sound enough to calculate our future. My brain is not that sound. So the one who knows the end from the beginning, I need to be able to speak to. Lord, is this the woman for me? Is this the man for me? Please show me. Please show me. This is key. So we ought to pray. It has not become outdated and say, in this old age and time, it's not prayer. It's not prayer. Prayer is the key. He started with prayer. We sing about him, Jesus Christ, our Lord, and he's ended with prayer, and we say it is the master key. It has not changed, and it will not change. If it was the master key yesterday, it is the master key today. It will be the master key tomorrow. So understand yourself is the next key. Understand yourself. Understand yourself. Understand yourself. It's very key. Know yourself. Know who you are. Know the kind of person you can't stay with. I want to recommend again that you please pick up the material Why You Act the Way You Do. That book by Tim LaHaye is an, inspired written material that is key for this kind of subject. Profile yourself. Know your temperament. Know your personality type. All right? There are just some temperament types that it will take the grace of God for two of them to be in the same room all the time, especially if one of them or if both of them are not yet, spirit inspired or spirit led or spirit controlled. This is very key. All right? You have two hot-headed, goal-oriented cholerics getting married. That might not be a good recipe to stay together if these two are not spirit controlled people. All right? So please get that material. Why you act the way you do. Know yourself. Know yourself. Know yourself. There are certain values you have. There are certain things you cannot tolerate. Know yourself. Don't settle for less than you expect of yourself. I'm not saying take the standard to the roof. All right, and get to the point where nobody can meet that standard. That's not what I'm saying. But know yourself. Know the kind of person that you can accept into your life, that you can spend the rest of your life with. It's important that you do that. And focus on character. When you are getting to, get the right partner, please focus on character. Please focus on that. I keep hearing people say that the good girls are not available right now. Character is not available, and it's not true. In fact, just yesterday somebody told me that he was asking about how can I achieve my goals in this age and time where there's so much distraction. How can I keep my focus? And I remember answering him, amongst many things, one of the things I said is, for me as a young person, the question was, how did I stay focused as a young man? He was asking me. And I said, for me, what helped me the most was relationships. Having the right kind of people around me. It helped me more than anything else. I didn't surround myself with just one person. No. Like one of the things we said to ourselves, for those of us who are around during the service on Thursday, or spoken about the art of building mentoring relationship. By the way, please, that message is available on YouTube. Go and listen to it over and over. I beg you, wherever you are, and you listen to this, please locate that message as well. It's going to help you as well. One of the things we said to ourselves with regards to mentoring relationships, all right, I think it keeps you focused, and we quite said about 10 different things about that, all right. But I just was making reference to that. How, for instance, for me, trying to grow up as a young guy, I had different people in my life at different points, and sometimes many of them, and I had given a lot of reference to that on Thursday. But please, I want to say this again. If you are going to make it true, a young man trying to get into a marital relationship, you want to look for a lot of people who can help you in that regard, who can give you solid advice in that regard. All right, look for the right set of people. Look for the right set of people. All right. But of course, with regards to the lady, the man, character is important. It's important. Does he fear God? All right. What are his values? These are the things that you must settle in your heart. Very, very key. Very key. All right. And of course, Prioritize convictions over feelings. That's number what now? Number 3, right? Good. All right. Prioritize convictions over feelings. Over feelings. Oh, I love him. Yes. But your heart's nudging is key. Because where the nudgings are coming from and are more than a place of emotion, they are bigger than emotions. Bigger than emotions. I found out that when butterflies have already taken over and everything is, we don't think again. We now think with our emotions. We think with our feelings. All right. We spend time. We spend money. Pursuit. We wake up. We're thinking about this person. The same thing. We talk with them all day. We have our heart beats. It's just after them. And of course, last person we talk to, have sweet dreams. First person we talk to when we wake up, the same thing. And so a lot of dating relationships are not founded with sound reasoning. They're founded in emotions, in infatuations, in emotions. And this is not good. Feelings must not be the only thing that directs or guides a person's reason for marriage. Feeling. No, I feel happy. I'm happy every time I'm around. I'm happy. No, that's not it. It's more than that. All right. We must prioritize convictions, and the convictions of God that He's giving to us. We must, take them seriously. All right. Relate with people. All right. This is very important. I just mentioned that. Okay. Relate with people. You won't. I mentioned to this young man yesterday that look, if you're going to, the next thing he said to me after I mentioned people were key for me. He said, how do I don't have people are good people are difficult. In fact, that was the thing. Good people are difficult. I said, no, it's not true. Even though they are difficult, they're there. But for you to find a good friend, you ought to be friendly first. That's what Scripture says. You have to be friendly yourself. You have to. People will, if you are always high on your own principles and you're not open to meeting new people, how will you know good people are there? How will you know that there are friends who want to be your friend? How will you even know that they exist if you don't? Okay, so you're in a church, for instance, you are in an ushering department, you're in a choir, and nobody in that choir can be your friend. Nobody in that church can be your friend. People around you can be your friend. Where you walk, they know. How is that even possible? That you walk in a church that has 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, and you can't have friends there? And in your neighborhood, in your whole community, there are no good people? No, you can't be the only good person. It's not possible. It's not possible. So the problem is not with people around. The problem will be with me. I have to first be willing to be friends with people first. If I cannot go out of my way to visit with people, to text people, to call people, to chat with people deliberately and consciously, then I will not. And it's only when people want to date people they start making attempts to want to get close. No. Be friends with people. The easiest persons to date are to the people who are your friends. And that's one of the biggest, mentoring advice. And I mentioned that in that recording on Thursday as well. That one of the biggest things one of my mentors mentioned to me before I got married was that he told me, don't fall in love with somebody who is not your friend. He said, fall in love with your friend. Now that's one advice out of many different advice, but that one I stayed with. It was key for me because the reason for his advice was even more, appealing to me. He said at some point in your marriage, when you're married, sometimes love might not be available in the house. That's the way he put it. He said love can take a stroll. But if you married your friend, friendship will always be there. A friend who knew you when you drank garri and groundnuts and salt, all right? Who knew you when you used to walk on the streets, and all of a sudden, that person has become your lover. He said you cannot form for that person. That's what he told me. He said you cannot act up for that person. You can't just be, but no, the person knows you in total. So now that love is now part of the entire equation, that's the second level in that relationship. In first, you were first friends, and now you are now lovers. And so that becomes a further solidifying element. And that was key for me. It was key for me. It was key for me. So with regards to my dating relationship, I saw this lady. If she saw me trek, You saw me when I used to wear wrapper material. Okay, the kind of picture that many of you do not even know that exists in my life self. All right, Daniel's already saw them. Okay, knew me to my house. I didn't have to form. And no, I didn't have. To make it more interesting, when the love thing now eventually came into the whole equation, I introduced that to my sisters, nephew, niece. Are you getting it? Because especially in Africa, it's not you that is marrying the person. And someone say, Pastor, you're the one saying that. No. I had to learn that yes, this lady is my wife. But in Africa, all right, when you're going to pay a woman's dowry, you don't go alone. It's not like in the US where you can just run away from the house and just go and pay and just marry somewhere. No, you don't do that. Here, they go with you. They go with you. And this thing about in-laws is important. I remember having someone I was dating in my life at the point, and my friends and my cousins who were on campus with me told me, no, this person is not good for you. At that time, my head was not in the thing. But when they started saying the thing, I started stepping back to look at what they were saying. Then I saw it. Oh, that is it. So I said, look, we have to end this. And I ended it. Yeah. Someone now say, how can you allow your cousins dictate to you? No, they spoke. Yes. And sometimes God will speak through people. When they spoke, I had to step back to look at what they were saying, that I was not saying, that love was already blocking at that time. Yeah. So that's important. So be friends with people. Do not say that there's no man. A man's duty is to find a wife. All right. A woman's duty is to position herself. And that does not mean, and I like to say this, that does not mean a woman cannot initiate, a dating relationship. She can. Positioning does not mean she can't initiate it. She can't initiate it. Even in the Bible, women positioned themselves, yet initiated the move many times. Yes. Some of those initiations were made by mentors. All right. Mordecai, who was Esther's mentor, instructed Esther to rise up and take her place at a time when Israel needed her, and she had to not just be positioned alone, but to initiate. All right. Yeah. Then you go back and look at Naomi, and you see what, of course, her mother-in-law told her to do. Of course. So you see that the initiation, or rather the initiative she took, was also inspired by the fact that mentors were there in her life to give those directives. So this morning, please, someone might be out there listening to this in the future. Please understand that positioning does not necessarily mean that you will just not take initiative when you need to take initiative. It's very, very important that we do that. Okay. So be warm and friendly, and be a warm and friendly person. Be a friendly brand. This is very, very key. Don't push people away. All right. Then get counsel. This is what I've been talking about earlier as well. Get counsel. The Holy Book says, in the multitude of counsel there is safety. In the multitude of counsel there is safety. In the multitude of counsel there is safety. All right. Please. The multitude of counsel there is safety. Don't keep your marital choices to yourself. All right, that is foolishness. I say it authoritatively, that is foolishness. It is not wisdom to try and say, no, I don't want anybody's input. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Let your parents speak. Let your siblings speak. Let your relatives speak. Let your friends speak. Sometimes it might just be even playful words, but let them say what is on their mind. Take this person, expose her to, a group of people. All right? Get counsel from your pastor, from your colleagues. Please, this is important. Because many times, like I said, you might not see what other people are saying. Why? Because you are currently in love. You're currently in love. In fact, let me even tell you where the counsel should start. Before you even go and say, I want to pop that question, should I marry this person? Before you do it, please get counsel. All right? Get counsel. All right? In a multitude of counsel, there's safety. All right? There should be a source of income. All right? So this is also one of the keys to note. All right? For someone who's looking for a partner, please make sure you have some income. All right? Make sure you are working. Work precedes marital relationship. Make sure you're working. You don't have to have all the money in the world. You know, some of us believe that you must have all the money before you get married. You must build everything and have, yes. But I also love the fact that one of the things God did was that he looked for a helper and brought the helper into Adam's life, and instantly they began to do things together. That is the key thing. They began to do things together. They began to do things together. They did things what? Together. Please, can we say that together? They did what? Things together. That's the most important thing. They built together. They built together. They grew together. They grew together. It's important. I mentioned this. The first house I lived with my mother for, till I turned 7, all the houses, room, just one single room. The current corridor where our kids play is larger than where I grew up with my mother, her sister, and myself for the first 7 years of my life. All right? House we grew, we stayed in when we first got married in this city was a room and a parlor. Right? But that's not where we are now. That's not where we are now. Sometimes I'm just, grateful for the journey. And it's important to know that room and parlor, the first night we stayed there, we're literally going to sleep on the floor. On the floor. Yes, on the floor. Because we're moving our things from where, they used to be. And I always tell this story a great deal of how we drove there and the car refused to start because we were supposed to go back to our hotel room. And then we took our curtains to sleep on the floor. All right? And then my landlord, who was a retired Shell staff, came down to knock on the door. And then he said, "Oh, you people are not going. I noticed the car didn't start." We said, "Yes, but I know that your mattress is not here yet. Everything else is here, but..." So he said, "Come to my garage." He opened this door and gave us a mattress. He said, "Look, it's my contribution to your family life. An additional bed on the first night of our stay in that home." But you see the funny thing? That's how we all began. We are already sleeping on the floor. On the floor. Did it matter? If I don't mention it to you now, will you know that we stayed on the floor? No. So some people will say, if the guy does not have money, I will not marry him. If he doesn't have, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. He has a job. He can pay the bills. You will not suffer. And then good enough, you also can help him. What's a helper? A helper. Someone say a helper. Helper also means that also you two can contribute. Is that not so?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So you have two contributors to this marriage journey. That is all that matters. And my pastor will always tell us, go and start from the outskirts of town. If you have to go and live in Okokoko, if you have to go and live in Agbaru, where house is cheap, live in this one. But don't go and start from Bendel Estate. If that's the case, stay in a small place, all right, and gradually move to the center of town. Live in a place where two of you can cope with, all right, and that's the thing. So here we are at Ekma in a room and parlor, all right, and then of course the Roko estate, and then to another estate now. But of course, there are certain things in our mind that we have begun to paint even before we got married that we're not even close to yet. The journey has begun, but honestly, there's still so much to do together. All right, so prepare your walk without, scripture says, and make it fit in the field, and afterward build your home. All right, so please set up your company. If you're an entrepreneur, focus on that for a bit before you bring a woman into it. All right, if that's it. If you have a job, fine, and then of course start growing together. Now, another thing you need to take note of is that you have to prepare to make adjustments when there are significant differences. You have to be prepared to make adjustments when there are significant differences. All right. Someone says, "I like decaf." Another one says, "I like caffeinated coffee." Those are already differences. Another says, "I like to press my toothpaste from the middle." Another one says, "I like to press it from anywhere." All right. I had that. I don't know why every couple have toothpaste issues. We don't talk about toothpaste again. It's still there, but it was there from the beginning. All right. Why we press toothpaste anyhow? Okay. Yeah. And so there are a lot of differences. How you want your food eaten, how you want it served. All right. Some people grew up with seeing parents eat together in the same place. I didn't grow up like that. I want to have not even just eat not just even eat on my own, because it's one thing to even have the food served, the soup and the swallow together. There's something to wash your hand. You serve it like an Urubu man on the table, and then you say, no, but that's not the way I love my food. I love it in a small plate like a Yoruba man. Put the stuff here and put the soup there, and I'll hold it in a bowl and have a cutlery in my hand. That's how I love to eat. So when you come into my house as my in-law, as my brothers or my mother, and you see I'm not eating like an Urubu man, you would think my wife is disrespectful. Meanwhile, it is what I like. Abi? Come in, you get what I'm saying? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't judge. So there's a whole lot. So once in a while, we'll get to sit down together and eat together. But that's not our model. Why? Because that's me. And on the other hand, so there are a lot of differences and there are adjustments that need to be made. Many throughout our lifetime of working together, living together, adjustments will need to be made. A lot of adjustments will need to be made. Okay, so look at what happens if the man is younger than the woman, right? We have that in a you know, around us. We have people who have married women who are slightly older than them, right? In fact, from my secondary school days, I started getting exposed to that. You know, I've seen that a great deal. I've even seen that in some pastors, and there are some people who say, no, I can never marry a woman who is older than me. Are you getting? Yes. Yeah. Where is it written that should be an issue? Where is it written? For instance, let me just mention to you some of the people who you know. I don't even want to call names right now, but pastors that I know, except they tell you, you will never know. Except they tell you, you will never know. So in this case now, the adjustments that are made, because truly our culture expects that the younger one is the one that will be greeting the older one, but the woman says, no, I will not allow it to be an issue. And she greets, she respects, she submits. That is a serious adjustment that needs to be made. All right, and that has to be spoken about in courtship. Now get into the marriage relationship and tell you, yeah, I'm older than you, so greet me, even though I'm your wife. You know, that's actually unnecessary at that point. That's not right. Okay. Educational background, right? Sometimes we've seen a situation where it is the woman that is more educated than the man. All right, we've had that over and over and over and over again. In recent times, while speaking to a couple who were just about to get married, I asked the lady, I hope that the fact that you have a degree doesn't have any bias in your mind and in your family, that this person who doesn't have a degree will bring an issue. Is there an issue for you? Because it was my wife and I were speaking. I said, is there an issue for you? She said, no, sir. I said, good. Because you need to settle that now, so that doesn't come up later and say, you now be speaking to your husband one day and say, because you don't have a degree. No. You have to make that adjustment when? Now. What if, okay, say, maybe tomorrow he can go to school. I said, what if he refuses to go to school? What will you do? Because it is not the school that will make this man prosperous. It's the fact that you've met a man that is already very prosperous, doing what he loves to do. And this man, school for you means that he should go and get a certificate. School for him means that he needs to keep upgrading his skill in the thing he knows to do. Can he read? Yes. Can he write? Yes. Is he a hardworking man? Yes. Does he know how to make money? Yes. Does he have dreams? Yes. Does he have a vision? Yes. So which school are you talking about now? Tell me now. Because now you have a degree, are you thinking about the fact that he has to go and get a degree in the future? So I didn't think about it like that. Now, those are adjustments that need to be made. Okay, very economic background. What if the lady is coming from a poor background? There are families who will now begin to say things like, she's coming to eat our money. Yeah. And sometimes, if it is a lady that is from a rich family, they'll say the guy is a gold digger. He wants to marry money. Are you seeing the picture? So it's a lot. This is very key. Very key. I mean, last night, my wife and I were seeing one of Tyler Perry's movies, and it was pretty interesting. The lady from an Ivy League school, all right, Harvard actually, sat down with her friends in lunch, and they were talking about the guy she was dating, all right, and interestingly, the guy from his previous marital life who had three children. So you can see the baggages he was bringing. He was from the streets. He had been falsely accused. He had stayed in prison before, right? And then he was not educated. Our friends just told her, don't even go near this guy at all. That's a no-no. All right, but of course they resolved all those issues. All right, reasons for marriage, and this is important. Can we talk about this very quickly? Why do people get married? Why should we get married? All right, number one, okay, there's a purpose for marriage. All right, marriages fail because couples don't understand the purpose for marriage, and a lot of people have wrong expectations for marriages, and when they don't meet those expectations, they fail. All right, so for instance, if a lady's expectation is that, oh, this man I want to marry will take care of me, he will fly me abroad and all that, and the man is not taking you abroad for holiday, then that might be an issue at some point. All right, that might be an issue at some point. Okay, a good marriage is not by accident. It takes deliberate effort. All right, so it's something to work on. You know, my wife and I have often told ourselves marriage is hard work. We keep telling ourselves that what marriage is hard work. Yeah, some will say, it's by grace. But one of the things that we know about grace is that Apostle Paul spoke clearly about grace. He says, by the grace of God I am who I am what I am. It says, the grace of God that was bestowed upon me, I do not take for granted. It says, by this grace, I labored more abundantly, more than they all. In other words, grace actually amplifies our capacity to work hard. And so, we don't say it's grace. Because it's grace, we will not work hard. So, I say that again, and this is something we have established. Marriage is hard work. If you see a marriage working, it's because people are working on it. It's because people are working on it. It's not because the two people are perfect. It's not because they don't make mistakes. People are working on it, all right? And so the fusion of two distinct elements into one sparkling jewel of love, rather, and that's what marriage is. It's a fusion of two distinct elements, two different elements, into one sparkling element of love, and that's the way we see marriage. And fusion now, in this case, can be a challenge. If you're putting two elements together, it takes a while to achieve that, especially even if they are metals. To even form an alloy, it takes time to achieve anything. All right. So, what weakness of my spouse must I get help covering? This question I need you to please think about, because every spouse has weakness and every spouse has strengths. So here's the question. Especially when I get into the marriage proper, that's when I even see that there are weaknesses I never saw in courtship. Because don't forget what I said. In courtship is even fun for some people. All some people did during courtship was to go to, Domino Pizza and ice cream joints and chicken and shawarma, and some courtship they never prayed, they never talked about anything. They were just flexing, going to the movies to go and watch movie in the cinema, and of course they never really dealt with the main thing until they got married and began to realize that we have got through the play parts. Now let's get serious with issues, and then a lot of people begin to find it very difficult to cope with each other at that point. So when you begin to find those weaknesses that you didn't see before, what then must you do? What must I do to cover up for those weaknesses? Because every single spouse, I have weaknesses. It's the responsibility of my spouse to cover them. My spouse has weaknesses. It's my responsibility to cover them. Very key. Your spouse has weaknesses. She will have weaknesses. You cannot marry a saint. There's no human being. Sorry, let me not use the word a saint. All right, a 100% person who does not have weaknesses. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. All right, so let's talk about the reasons for marriage. Let's do this very quickly. I need you to follow me very quickly. All right, as fast as possible. As fast as possible, please. I want you to take notes. Those taking notes, please write them. All right, good reasons for marriages. All right, good reasons for marriage. Number one, companionship. Companionship is friendship. All right, companionship simply means friendship. Number one reason for marriage is companionship. Friendship. Even if love takes a break, friendship should not leave. Companionship should not leave. All right, I keep using that word, even if love, because the truth is that it's a choice, and that is the same. Friendship is a choice. You don't force anybody to be friends with you. It's a choice. You must make that choice up. Another one is completion. All right, wholeness. The second reason for marriage is wholeness. I'm not complete. He said two shall become one. That means that I am still half right now. I am still half right now. I am still what? Half right now. When I get married, then the other half of me will come. That's completion. Wholeness. Wholeness. Until that happens, I'm not complete. The other one is coition, and that has to do with sexual intercourse, all right, sexual relation, coition, all right. So that's another reason for marriage, for sexual fulfillment, for coition, all right. And then for comfort, this is key. It says, if one falls, there shall be another to keep him up. If one makes a mess of his journey, there shall be another to help him. All right, there shall be another to help him. So another good reason for marriage is comfort. 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 And life, especially right now, deserves such comfort every day. Because there are all kinds of things that are, struggling to take as a pastor, for instance, there are many things that I get to see, many things I get to deal with, many things that sometimes I come home, I say certain things, and already, just because there's someone to talk to in that sense, I don't like what I'm seeing, I don't like what I'm